Hey guys, it's Alexander Williamson here with The Secret History Living Inside Your Aquarium. Today we're going to do something a little different. Here we're out in the wild. We are in British Columbia, Canada. And just wanted to show you some of the beautiful lilies and things that also invasive kabamba and some milfoils, but then some native plants too. And basically over there you can see hygrophilias of some sort, but just wanted to show you kind of the natural habitat here of a couple different fish. Also there's some crawfish on the rocks there. This water is very cold. This water is about 45 to 55 degrees year-round. Also you can see the schools, there's literally hundreds of thousands of these guys that just come in these big bands, and they're baby salmon. There's a salmon run here that has all 5 types of native West Coast salmon. It's pink, chum, sockeye, also known as king. There's also landlocked salmon, kokanee. So there's just a crazy biodiversity here. Plus there's also fish like sunfish, pike minnows, bluegills, things like that. But you'll actually watch these little fish interact, and just kind of beautifully from above here. I like looking down. This is the outflow. And you can smell a sulfury smell. This is a hot spring outflow here, so it stays warmer here, coming out of the side of the hill. And it's just kind of an interesting ecosystem. You can see also some sort of like little shiner or something like that. Apparently there are some invasive species here from all the way back to the turn of the century, since this was a hot spring. This is Harrison Hot Springs, and people touted its medicinal values, and you'll actually see the fish shining off here. But essentially people touted the medicinal values, and after years of people coming here from the 18th century onward, people brought various game fish and things like that here. But you'll see that in these schools of minnows, all of a sudden there'll just be a big bass or something that comes up and will eat a whole bunch of them. Right there, these are sticklebacks. These are pregnant sticklebacks here. They move like puffer fish. They're kind of cool. The larger one there with the big belly, they can move forward, sideways, up and down, unlike many fish that need to have that forward motion. And you can see just how many sticklebacks there are. These are all sticklebacks here, and down here there's also different kinds of, they're too small to know. Yesterday I picked some up. I can see a trout right now swimming below. It's probably going to come up underneath some of these fish. Or maybe not, I don't know. I assumed it would have come up. Oh, there, I don't know if you saw that shine, but the fish will all clear when that happens. So that is what's going on in the calm side of the thoroughfare, or the outlet here. And if we turn around real quick, you can see the beautiful lake, which is Lake Harrison. There's a hot spring community here, but there's also beautiful nature everywhere. Everything from grizzly bears to black bears. Grizzly bears are a little rare, but cougars and wolves definitely. And we're about 40 or 50 miles north of the American border. You can see the Canadian geese out here, Canada geese. And then what's kind of interesting is out here we have a hydrothermal electric, and also wastewater, sewage water plant. But here we have a mural of Sasquatch, and that mural is a native actually, surprisingly, that art originated on the Tulalip Reservation down in Washington, where I happen to be from. And that art originally was, it showed a wild man of the forest, and that's what Westerners have adapted to call Sasquatch. And actually what you're looking at across the water right here, this area over here past the resort, there's a park called Sasquatch Park, and so they kind of use that as a tourist pull to talk about Bigfoot and the Sasquatch spiel. But really it was a wild man of the woods in native folklore who ate other natives. In here you can see more of these little hot spring outpourings. You can see just beautiful butterflies out. It's going to be a hot one today, probably 50 some degrees, or I'm sorry, it's probably 85 degrees, 90 degrees. And in here you can see very young fish. This is a hatchery, more hygrophilia, and interesting, very rich algae deposits in this water, which contains sulfur. And in here, this water is probably 80 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that, but very beautiful, with all the butterflies, the invasive huckleberry, or Himalayan blackberries. And then you're right on the side of a mountain here. And in the 1920s and 30s, in its heyday, people like Clark Gable and famous movie stars came here. It was all logged in the 1890s through the 1910s, and basically this is some rugged terrain to try to log. These hills coming out of the lake are very, very steep, and most of them top out around 3,000 or 4,000 feet, I think, above sea level, with prominence of about 3,000 feet. So we're going to pause. I'm going to continue hiking, and we're going to get to the hottest of the hot springs, which is 150 degrees. Conservatively, it does get hotter than that. And yet something phenomenal is going on there, and I want to show you that. That's just incredibly beautiful. So I'll show you that in a moment. Alright, so now we're coming up on a still functional but kind of abandoned early 1960s redone, but it was also before that Art Deco kind of style enclosure for the hottest, deepest part of the hot springs, because people kept falling in. Now the smell here is just incredibly overwhelming of sulfur. I mean, I have to hold my breath almost, but beautiful water you can see boiling out of here, and the steam's immense even though it's a hot day. But it's coming out, it goes into the lake, just incredibly hot water. Some of it's boiling temperature, but where it exits outside of the enclosure over here, this is the really interesting pond I wanted to show you. So you would assume that probably no fish would be living here, yeah? You'd be wrong. I was wrong. I assumed that there would be no fish here. This water that's kind of steaming here, you can see where it comes out. That is an outflow to kind of meter the outflow of these ponds. But here you can see we have fish in water that is 145 degrees. Right there, it's 145 degrees there, and here it's at least 110 degrees, and there are a couple sticklebacks here, but they seem to come and go very quickly. What they're doing is they're eating some sort of buildup on the rocks, whether that's calcium, salt, or sulfur, I do not know, but very interesting. And also I wanted to point out that other animals have been coming down here because we have footprints of several different types of animals. We have some dog footprints there, but there's also some raccoon footprints with the deeper, longer footprint. And then a couple days ago, I actually saw a bear footprint, set of bear footprints, I should say, and some deer footprints. So they must all be coming here for some sort of mineral or salt in the water. This water is considered brackish by the locals, and what I want to show you next, so this pipe has actually been corroded, and here the water's too hot to touch. I watched some yokels touch it the other day and get burned. So this ground is not the most sturdy in that it can fall into the hot springs. This is all geothermal, geothermically active. And what I really want to show you are the pumpkin seed fish and the bluegills that have made this home. And I knew they'd be here because they always are. But basically, they guard these areas they've cleared out of the algae and the gravel. And they guard these nests. And they're very ferocious about guarding their nests. And the females, we believe, according to the locals, but don't quote me on that yet, are surrounding their nests, and they're large. And they clear out a nest here, out of the gravel and out of the pellia and algae. This is definite extremophile conditions. I was just jaw-dropped when I saw fish in this water. But here they are, and they're incredibly beautiful. I want to try to get you a shot of this fish. They're incredibly beautiful. They've got a blue mouth and a purple head with a strikingly orange body below that. Normal color, kind of a greenish silver on top, but they've got an eye mark, which leads me to believe pumpkin seed fish, which would be invasive, but they flare up rather than back off from their territory. And you can see that electric blue tail there too. But they're living in this water, which is 140 degrees at the top. It's a little cooler down below, but they don't shy away from going to the top. And I would say these fish are probably 6 to 8 inches at the length I'm seeing them in here. And just beautiful fish. Let's see if we can get a little closer without falling and killing myself. There you go. You can see beautiful colors on these fish, and patterns are just gorgeous. So it's interesting that they are here, that they made it up here. They probably traveled up the Frasier River, then up the Chehalis, not the one in the States, and then made their way up here. But they seem to like it in the warmest spots, which just boggles my mind. I mean, I guess they are called sunfish, but I've never seen anything like this, even at Yellowstone or anywhere like that. But you'll see these females, or what I am assuming are females, which actually have more color than the males, unless these are males, perhaps. And then there's another group. Here's another small one that doesn't have a nest yet, but then there's these colorless ones that come in with the same body shape. Oh man, the sulfur is just overwhelming. There's another group that comes in that has no, and here's more extremophile life of some sort, but there's another group that comes in with in the afternoon with no body color, and they seem to mate, and I got some footage of them mating yesterday. So I just wanted to kind of show you that. Hold on, I know you're not looking at anything interesting right now. Alright, so show you that. Then over here there don't seem to be as many, which is kind of odd to me, where it cools off a bit. There is more kinds of moss and pellia and things like that growing. Maybe some sort of hornwort too, or something similar to that is floating in the water, but I just don't know what's invasive and what's native. I could tell you if I could get in there, but I'm not sure as heck not getting in there. So okay, here we go. Here are the other gender, and they're all just hanging out in a group right here. I don't know if you can see those on film, but they're far, far smaller. The dimorphism in the genders is intense. So just kind of interesting, but they've cleared out these little gravel spots, and they seem to like these green pebbles in their territory. And they'll clear out these oval-shaped nests, and then they sit on them all day and guard. So I'm assuming they're spawning. And with the hot water, they don't need to wait all year, and so they spawn all year and have gotten kind of out of control. So yeah, but people definitely come from all over the world. You can see there, you can touch it there. Is it hot over there? Is it hot? Warm. Yeah, like bath, like shower, bath hot? Yeah, okay. I was curious, yeah. Thank you. There's some very beautiful fish in the water if you look carefully. Yeah. So, tourists, there's not very good signage here. There's nothing indicating the temperature. So I really hope they don't, I saw them earlier on the walk. So I really hope they don't touch that water that is too hot to touch coming out of the springs. But if he says it's, hot tub shower temperature over there on the banks, maybe it's 100-degree temperature where those fish are. I'm not sure. Seemed hotter to me where I touched the far end of the pond. I think the temperature changes, but it came out very, very hot to the point where I didn't want to touch it. So, all right, guys. Well, that is all I've got for you, but I hope that was a change of pace. I'm doing better, slowly but surely, and my wife and I came up here to check out dental prices and things, as well as just to rest a bit. My speech, as you've probably noticed, has gotten a lot better. If I get tired, it gets bad again, but if I take a nap every day and rest and eat well, I can hold out half the day. Right now it's early, but it's already very hot. Up in the mountains, it's always hot early, I guess. And usually cold at night, but the humidity was extremely high last night. So, all right, guys. Well, take care of your fish, take care of yourselves, and love each other. And I'll talk to you next time. Swim on. Bye.